Hey, welcome back to Rob's Garage Woodworking. Today I'm going to show you how to use a stud sensor. Now, a lot of people might think that this is just a foolish video, but a lot of people don't actually know how to use a stud sensor. So don't be ashamed, just watch the video. We'll sort you out, alright? So, I've used a couple of different brands of stud sensors. Now, this is a Zircon stud sensor, and it has light range up here. It has green and red, and then it has, on this one, it has a little belt clip so you can hang it onto your belt or in your pocket. You can put it into your pocket and slide it in like that. On the back of it, it has like a felt back on here so that slides along the wall, and then it has the trigger, so you have to actually push that button in while you're using it, and when you push it in, you'll see the lights flash, right? So anyway, now walls, they say, are built generally on 16-inch centers. That doesn't mean that every 16 inches you're going to find a stud, because depending on how they design the wall and what's in there, it's not always going to work out. But generally that's the case. So 16-inch centers means if you take your tape measure, you got your first stud here, right? And then when you go over to here, where is it? See, it's in red. That's 16 inches, so that'll be the start of the next stud. So your first stud is here, and then you move over to 16. Where is it here? And that'll be the start of your next stud. Now, if I was to measure from this stud to here, at 16 inches on center. So, where's my pencil here? I'll mark where the stud should be. It should be right there. That's where it should start. So a stud's 1.5 inches, right? So it should go from there to here. What you do with your stud sensor is you actually put it up against the wall. Let's get really close. Put it up against the wall. Press the button. Okay? That light comes on. As you get close to the stud, you'll see the lights start to change. See that? It goes from the first red, so it's sensing it, and then as you move closer, there, and that's where the edge of the stud is. So if I go down here where I marked it, watch. I'll move it along slowly. It starts to notice that there's something coming up. It's a little closer, and that's exactly where my mark is. You hear it beep? It beeps too when it reaches the stud. So the stud starts here. So it doesn't mean you put your screw there. You put the screw where the stud is. So the stud is from that point over 1.5 inches. So it's in between those 2 points. So your full 1.5 inches, that's your stud size, right? So that is where you would put your screw to go into your wall. Okay, so these aren't 100% foolproof. There's a couple of things that can affect these. Now, one of the things is if there's metal in your wall, like a screw. So a screw could just be in the middle of somewhere, and they just never took the screw out of your drywall or whatever. So when you're moving it along, you can see that it affects, like the metal behind it affects it, right? So this is just a tape measure. Sometimes wiring. There can be wiring in your wall. Here's a piece of wire that's not hooked up to anything just yet. That's going to be a light here in my garage. So as I bring this close to the wire, you'll start to see... Oh, where did it go? There, you can see it triggered on the wire, right? Right. So if you have a plaster and lath wall, what that means is that there's pieces of wood. Instead of like a drywall, which is just screwed on top of the wall, plaster and lath is your framing, and then it has lath across, which is like little pieces. It looks like old wooden snow fence or lobster trap wood, that sort of thing, right? Just these thin little slices. And then what they would do is they would plaster over it, and they would make a nice thick coat on the wall, and that would be your inside wall surface. So in that case, your stud sensor is going to sense all the wood in the plaster and lath, right? So it's going to go off all the time, and it's going to be really confused looking. Like the lights are going to flash all over. It's going to flash like double flashes. So and it won't give you a proper reading, and you won't be able to find things properly if you've got a plaster and lath wall. Here's another little tip, actually, when you're working on this stuff, and I'll show you here. So because I'm going to put something up on my wall here, I don't want to put marks on it, and I don't want to put marks where the paint is. So I'll run my stud sensor along, right? Run it along. Should beep, right? So there's the first part, and then you run it along the other way. It beeps. There's your other part. So I'm going to use a piece of tape, some masking tape. This is actually painter's tape. I'm going to run this stud sensor along till I find the stud. And then I'm going to put the tape right there, right where I found the stud. So when it flashes, like when it first lights up, see the light there? We got the green light. That's where the edge of the tape is, because the 2x4 is going to go from here to here, right? So run it backwards, double check, and that's the other edge of the 2x4, because the tape's not quite 1.5 inches wide. Alright? So hopefully that helps you out. Anyway, so if you're new to this home improvement stuff, or you're a new homeowner, or you've got your first apartment, don't worry. It's, it was new to all of us once, right? So don't be ashamed. Don't worry about it. Just get a good quality stud sensor. Like I said, the Zircon one is the one that I like. I've had other stud sensors that just didn't work at all, so I prefer the Zircon brand. All right. Anyway, thanks for watching.